Welcome to RVing in New England, the nation's only forum that puts you on stage with some of the biggest names in the RV industry. And now your hosts, John DiPietro and Bob Zagami.
Yeah, there we are.
Hey, we're here.
There we are. Hi, everybody. My name is John DiPietro, welcoming you here to RVing in New England with our friend Bernie Culliton. And Bernie, welcome once again to RVing in New England.
Hey, thanks for having me. I know while Bob's out doing what he's doing, you give me a chance to come in and talk to our friends here. So
Well, there's no question that he is spending some valuable family time with his family, actually down in Disney World. And he probably rigged it so that he got his picture on there no matter what. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to RVing in New England, America's only talk show where you, the audience, can come right up on stage with some of the top personalities in the RV industry. It's our 7th year. We thank you so much. We would not be here without you. And we want to let you know that engineering our show tonight is the extraordinaire producer, Bill Sell. Bill, you can even put the camera on yourself there for a minute. There we go.
Okay, for a minute.
No, that's enough.
I'm gone.
He's the real deal, though. He does a fantastic job.
He does.
But John, you're gonna have
job.
to hook me up with one of those shirts. You guys got these beautiful shirts, and here I am just wearing my civvies. So
yeah, well. That's good that you're wearing it. So anyway, we want to say welcome to Dante. We want to welcome Jerry. We want to welcome everyone else in as they come on board. We want to let you know about a couple of things going on in the RV industry. We've got two great guests tonight, but I want to tell you about some other events. One guest is Ben Quiggle, who's the editor-in-chief of Woodall's Campground magazine, which is the Bible for the campground industry. And Bernie, you've got a special guest. Tell us who you're going to be talking to.
Oh, yeah. We're very fortunate to have on the managing director of the RV Women's Alliance. Her name is Jessica Ryder, and she has this wonderful news for the industry. I mean, the industry is going out of control, growing and growing. They say there's going to be more than 72 million people camping this year. So how are you going to keep all those campers fixed? Well, Jessica has some information for us.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear. And speaking of future campers this upcoming summer, a couple things to keep in mind. Last weekend, we were able to attend the Providence RV show, and we saw our friends from several of the dealerships, Campers in Bradford, Pete's RV, and Longview RV, and they all reported very brisk sales. Bernie, did your Campers in colleagues mention that it was a good time down there in Providence?
Yeah, they said it wasn't overly busy, but the people were really serious about RVing, so there was a lot of real interest. And so not only did they get a decent amount of sales, which is fantastic for an event of that size, but, I'm sure there's going to be some follow-up that happens as well, and other people will continue to buy throughout the first quarter.
Great. Well, that's great to hear. And you know what? As we said before at the top of the show, this is the show that takes our studio audience and we take them out of the studio audience. We put them right on center stage. And Jerry Plant says he'd like to plug a job opening at Majors. Jerry, go ahead. Tell us what Majors is looking for. And maybe someone in our audience will have an interest in it. And, the way the job market is today, you never know where the next great person in the industry is going to come from. So, Jerry, chassis and engine tech. Okay.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
Looking for experience. Obviously, I guess you're looking for some experience, but, Majors is without question one of America's, not just the Northeast, service centers. They don't sell any RVs down there, but they service them. All brands, whether they're towable, motorized, diesel, gas, whatever.
Wow.
Majors RV in Bourne, Mass, right over the bridge on Cape Cod. So I don't know if it's listed, Jerry, on the website, or just call Majors tomorrow and you can find out more about it. I want to tell you again, we went to the Providence show. Coming up this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday is the Springfield RV show. One of the big ones, 3 big buildings right in Springfield, Massachusetts. I know several people from Worcester go out and make a weekend of it. I know that the Cavoses and the Coles and so many. Walter at one time, before Walter bagged all his friends and went to Central Florida. But you know what? It's a show that you could spend 2 days at. So Springfield, Massachusetts at the Big E, and several of the NERVDA dealers will be on display there.
Yeah, you can find an RV and get some fried dough. Yeah.
Some fried dough, yeah. Or what we used to do is go to the pizza place, Red Rose Pizza, right over by the casino in downtown Springfield, and great food. And Bernie, you got to admit that one of the main topics of RVers is talking about food, right?
Absolutely. That's right. We spend more time probably eating and preparing to eat while we're camping than any other, other activity, I would say.
Except drinking.
Well, that's kind of intermingled in all the activities. That's like an associate to your activities. Yeah.
So we want to say hello to Adam Park, who's just joined us, and Walter Swenson, evening all from Central Florida. And Walter, tell us what you got for weather down there, because I'm heading to Myrtle Beach on Friday. And I want to tell you a little thing about that in a second. But Walter, tell us what you got for weather. What else? We got all the shows lined up. We got all the people.
We have a wonderful show ahead of us today. It's amazing how, week after week that RVing in New England comes up with all this content and all these great people that watch and kind of get involved. And, we got James Conboy, and I'm really excited about having him on, because we had just sent an RV over there to get worked on, and phenomenal work. So excited. Can't thank him enough for the work that he does, for sure.
Yeah. And Jim was actually, he was on live with us on the New England RV Dealers Association page last Friday night, live from the Providence show. Oh, I know. I want to tell you, next week, not this weekend coming up, but next week, the 24th, 5th, and 6th. I believe those are the dates, but it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The Worcester RV show returns.
Oh, and, really?
You know what? If you go to Worcester RV show online, you can get free tickets for that show. And I know that we'll have Pete's there, we'll have Mann's there, we'll probably have Fuller there, etc. Now, Bernie.
Yes.
You see Jim Conboy's note?
Evening all. She's all done, Bernie. All right. That means we have to send someone over there to pick it up. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Dante says it's 85 in Port Charlotte.
Wow.
And Estelle made her Salisbury Beach. Yeah. Made her Salisbury Beach reservations today. Now,
be prudent. Make those reservations earlier, and I'm sure our friend at Woodall's is going to have some information about that.
Well, you know what? We're going to talk about that, and that's a great setup for this segment. We had an opportunity to speak with Ben Quiggle, who is the editor-in-chief of Woodall's Campground Magazine, and he, as you'll see in this video, Ben Quiggle attends all of the major events throughout the country on the campground industry. And he was kind enough to squeeze in some time yesterday morning to talk about the big things coming up. And one of his colleagues, I see Rick Kessler from RV Business, our other cooperating partner, has joined us. So, Mr. Sell, if you have the magic button there to push to talk to Ben Quiggle, ladies and gentlemen, here is Ben Quiggle. Hey, everybody, welcome back to RVing in New England. My name is John DiPietro, and my guest is certainly no stranger to our show. He's the editor-in-chief of Woodall's Campground Magazine. Let's have a fine New England welcome for our friend, Ben Quiggle. Ben, welcome back to New England.
Yeah, thank you for having me back on. So,
well, I should say virtually welcome back to New England, because you're somewhere out in the Midwest. And you know what? A lot of people, we were just talking before we hit the go light. This is an extremely busy time of the year for the industry, but if you're in the Northeast, it's like that time where you're getting anxious to go. I mean, you're going to RV shows, but you can't take your unit out. You can't go camping because the campgrounds aren't open. But there's so much going on in the industry, right, Ben?
Yeah, there's a ton going on in the industry, and I know what you mean because I go to the state association conferences in the spring, and
Yep.
it's like the campground owners are just waiting for the storm to come. So, they're getting ready. Some of them are pretty excited. Some of them are still getting over last season.
Well,
So,
you say the storm to come as I stepped on you. You say the storm to come as I look out my office window. There is no snow out on the ground at all. Now, by saying that might indicate that we'll get 12 inches this week. But there are a couple weeks with a few years ago, where the northern campgrounds, because of late spring snow, had to push back their opening dates. But you know what?
yeah,
Not an issue yet.
and not an issue yet. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I know a lot of people are eager to get out and camp. So.
Yeah. I know one of the things that we talked about not too long ago when we spoke off air was the amount of new business, new building that's going on in the campground side of the RV/camping industry. And I know you had mentioned to me that you know of at least 30 new projects that are in the works right now, not including KOA. Could you bring us up to date on those?
Yeah, I mean, Jeff Kreider did some excellent work for Woodalls, and he spoke with a lot of different developers. He compiled a list of about 30 parks that are being built, on top of even more, dozens more that are being improved and expanded. And those are just the developers he was able to reach out to. So there's the potential, there's even more. And then on the Campgrounds of America side, it's amazing to see what they're doing, because I think historically they haven't had as many new builds, but they have at least 19 that they're working on right now, projects that they're working on. And that, I don't think that includes their Terramore brand, which I think is working on one or two more on that side of the business. And when we spoke with Toby O'Rourke last time, the CEO of KOA, she mentioned that they're just being really aggressive on that front. So that's kind of new and interesting. And we expect to see more from them too. So.
Now, Ben, in your answer right now, you gave me two more questions. You said 30 new projects being developed. That's over and above projects that might be doing add-ons to the existing facilities. So those numbers are even more impressive, right?
Yeah, and because I think a lot of park owners are looking at those expansions, and even when we talk to investors who are buying parks right now, they're looking at parks that have room to expand. So maybe they're buying the park now, but years down the road they're going to expand it, or they're looking to add more sites to it or more amenities. So I mean, we're looking at a good couple of years here where there's still going to be a lot of development activity and expansion, and it's pretty exciting for the industry.
Right. Now, the other question that I picked out of your first answer was that you mentioned the Terramore brand. Now, that has its heart and beginnings right here in New England. But talk about what Terramore is for those people that may be just getting into the camping lifestyle in the last couple of years. What is Terramore?
Yeah, so KOA decided they wanted to do something more in the glamping sector. So they created Terramore, which is basically a glamping brand, and they have a park up in Bar Harbor, Maine, that is a glamping resort. So it's mainly tents, fancy like African style tents. They got the thick wood log frames. It's a really nice facility up there, and I know they're looking to expand more. I think one of their interesting projects just kind of got shot down. They withdrew it in New York, but I do believe they have another project that they're working on. So they'd like to expand that brand and open up more Terramore resorts.
Right. Now, when you say tents, a lot of people think, oh, well, this is the kind that you buy at an outdoor type store, and you throw it in the back of your car and then pitch it. These really, these are on big platforms with luxurious bedding and refrigeration and either bathroom facilities right there or nearby. And I know that the place in Maine doesn't even allow you to bring an RV onto the project. And I know specifically because I brought mine on and I had a heck of a time turning it around to get it out.
Yeah, no RVs. The parking lot is a little ways away from the tent, so you actually have to walk back to the resort.
Yep.
So but these tents are just amazing. They got these thick outer canvas shells. They've got multiple rooms in some of these tents. You can have AC, which it just boggles my brain that you can have AC in a tent unit. So
I was just going to laugh at that same thing. Talk about roughing it with air conditioning.
Yeah.
So we'll put some pictures of there so our audience can know what we're talking about. The last thing I want to talk to you about is the growth of the camper van and truck camper market versus the Class A and Class C markets.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we're seeing a lot of camper vans out there. It is still a smaller segment of the population that does the Class B camper vans, but it is growing slowly, and a lot of millennials like it, especially if you have like a millennial couple. They can take this van, they can put all their stuff in it, they can travel the country, and they love that lifestyle, and that's definitely been growing. I think even among some retirees, it's just a smaller unit. You don't have to have this huge Class A, easier to park. You can do off the grid camping easier. Some of these are built for off the grid camping. So it's going to be interesting to see how that continues to grow.
It's interesting. You just bring up, again, your answers are so good. I think of questions from your answers, but as you mentioned those two categories, the young couple and the retired couple, I can think of two actual cases where one was a young couple that just got married and they're traveling pre-K, meaning pre-kids. And the other one was a gentleman who was 68 years old in high finance business in, high pressure business that just said, the heck with it all, and sold his house, and he's still on the road just about a year later. So interesting examples.
Yeah, I mean, a full-time RVing is still very popular. So, and people love it. And especially this time of year when it's cold in the northern segment of the US, people really love to travel down south. So
yeah, exactly. Ben, our time with you is always too short. I want to ask you right on camera if you'll come back with us at another time and talk more about what's going on in a business that you truly love and are part of, the RV business community.
Yeah, well, I can't say no to you guys. So
perfect. Hey, our guest has been Ben Quiggle, the editor-in-chief of Woodall's Campground Magazine. Stay with us here on RVing in New England. RVing in New England, I should say the title of the show, understandably. We've got a lot more right after this.
Thank you.
Wow.
And that was our friend Ben.
Yeah.
And
a lot of insight. That he's just so fluid on all the information that he carries around in his noggin there about the RV industry and how it affects, each one of us, as campers.
Yep. And you know what, folks? It's primarily a business magazine, but if you want to subscribe to their daily headlines, they put out at 12 noon every day, they put out a newsletter with all the top news of the day from the campground side of the industry. Go to Woodall's CM, WOODALLSCM.com. And somewhere on there, you'll find a subscription to it, and you'll find some very interesting things. Bernie, let's go back to the scoreboard, as I call it over here.
Okay.
As we look at Jim Conboy said that you're all done. Estelle, we talked about that. Rick Kessler, who is the managing editor of RV Business, which is part of Woodall's Campground Magazine. And special hello to Audrey Foley-Egan. Audrey, I need to tell you this. I think I might stop into Pirate Land this weekend. I'll tell you about that in just a second. But Audrey, welcome. Jim Conboy looks like he's got a side conversation here going on with Walter Swenson about, are you still getting rain? And Walter said, no rain since Saturday night. Okay, guys, there's another gentleman, same last name as me, who says, I'm at the auto races at New Smyrna Speedway. And we tried to get him to do some interviews with RVers, but he said, it gets too dark down there too early. And but
looks like Estelle's watching that too.
Either way. What was that again, Bernie?
Oh, it looked like Estelle was watching some races as well. Yeah.
On Flow in New Hampshire.
And it looks like
Okay.
the unofficial hairiest guy in the RV industry finally joined us about 7:15. Jim Rohn.
Unofficial. Go ahead. You've called him that, so you can get out of it. Go ahead.
I can get out of it. Jim, welcome to the show. And other than that, yeah, I mean, I'm sure you took it with a good chuckle because that's the kind of guy you are. You're a laughing guy. So,
Rick Kessler says, "Way to go, Ben." Okay, Kessler,
Yeah.
watching the races. 80 Convoy 85. You're killing me. Oh, you're killing me. Oh, that's right. That's again. Convoy and Swenson got a side conversation. We're gonna have to send them a bill.
Absolutely.
Property splits happening. Okay, Audrey, tell us what you mean by that. And while you punch that in, I will tell you that this weekend we're doing something a little bit different. I don't have the same time that we had last year to take the RV out of storage here, have it de-winterized, and head to Florida. We did that last year. But this year we're taking the car and driving to Myrtle Beach and staying at a campground. That's right, folks. We've been talking about this for a long time, about all the beautiful cabins that so many of the campgrounds are putting together. And last summer we stayed, as part of our Do It Now tour, we stayed at Carolina Pines, and we're going to be doing that again and joining some RVing friends that are coming up from Florida. We're coming down from Massachusetts. We're merging at Myrtle. And, Audrey Foley and her family go down every April vacation. What do you mean? Would you love to get an update on the property splits happening at Pirate Land? I don't know what you mean by that, but if you get a chance, tell us that. And you know what, folks? We're doing what a lot of people, what we tell others, if you don't own an RV, you can still go to a campground and have fun. And we're going to do a special show for here in the Camp Report Show called RVing Without an RV. And basically, it's camping without an RV. And all of the amenities are still available to us. The only thing is we're staying in a cabin instead of an RV. Yeah, I know Pirate Land.
We don't want to get too much into the non-RVs, right? Because this is the part of the New England RV Dealers Association. So we want to talk about RVs. Get your RV, right?
Right.
But
right. But there are park models up here, which we talk about consistently.
Absolutely.
But the beauty of the RV lifestyle is opening up, because we always talk about camping in a traditional campground. But last week we had Joel Holland, the owner of Harvest Toast, on talking about alternatives. Now, we're not saying don't go to a campground. That's the last thing on our mind. But many times there might be places that you want to go where you just need to get off the road for the night and don't need the full amenities of a campground. So you look at places like Harvest Toast. And as we alluded to, Bernie, and we're going to talk about that in just a second, because I want to ask you, because you're the expert, you're employed in the RV industry at Campers Inn. What are you seeing for families coming in and asking for camper vans? And I put camper vans into two categories: the Class Bs, plus also the truck campers. You're seeing much activity with that.
So truck campers had a lot of difficulty really gaining traction in our area. But I know there is a good truck camper dealership not too far away. But here's the thing: is that it still isn't in full swing. When I first joined the industry, a couple of years into it, I remember some statistics that had come up. And that particular year, I think it was 2012 or 13, there was only one Class B motorhome sold in the whole state of New Hampshire. So with that being said, things have changed dramatically over that time. It is still a relatively incremental part of the RV industry, but it is growing at a really rapid pace. So I guess it's like a 15, 20, 25% growth rate over the last few years with those Class B motorhomes. So people are asking for them. But we found, in what we've been finding along the way, is that it is really only for a certain group of people.
What is that group, Bernie? What is that group? Is it the young couple prior to kids, or is it the two retirees, or as the person that I alluded to in our interview with Ben, this gentleman named Bob Shannon, who is a friend of a college classmate of mine, who called me for months about, I got to get out of the rat race. He lived in Metro DC, and he said,
Right.
I just had another cancer scare. I've got to get out of this rat race.
Well,
And
that brings up a good point. So you can in a very small percentage of them are going to be, it's time to change my life significantly because of a circumstance, right? And I think that's an important thing to recognize, that those people do exist, and there are going to be people that do those things. But generally speaking, a class B is not going to be a family of five, right? Because families these days are very complex. Kids have to have all the things around them. The parents have to have all the things around them. We're spoiled as a society. So in their RV, they want to take some of that along with them. So that's why, so the people that are like hikers, that are generally like backpack and I got a pup tent on the back, those people can transition to a class B, that, in my opinion, much more easily than a family of 4 or 5, right? Because they can dial it all the way down. They understand the process of shrinking their lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, Bernie, let me ask you this question along those lines. Last year in Hershey, as well as last year at Open House in Elkhart, there were several of what I call the old hippie vans, the old VW vans coming back. I know Winnebago has the Solus,
Salem or whatever. Yeah.
Forest River and Thor have their own. Do you have any of those in stock at your dealerships that you've had people looking at seriously because they have extra sleeping accommodations up top?
I haven't had anybody ask for it, but we also don't have any of those in stock. But they are evolving, and it's amazing how many different brands are popping up. But the sales are still relatively small. What do they say, about 17,000 are slated for 2023? That's a good amount of units for sure.
Yeah.
But
when you consider what it was,
things, right?
When you consider what it was 3-4 years ago.
Oh yeah, it's doubled in 3 years for sure. Now we do carry that at one of our local dealerships, so we carry the Class Bs, and they move right along. They have 4 different brands of Class Bs there, and they sell very well, and it's very exciting niche of the market. But because of the nature of our dealership body with several stores close by, we don't like to step on each other's toes. So that particular store sells the Class Bs.
Yep. Well, you know what? We had a note here that Walter Swenson, I don't know, Bill, if you can highlight that. Walter says, we've been looking at Class Bs, not made up our mind yet, but looking at them and like some of the newer floor plans. Walter, tell us the brands that you've been looking at and what the chassis are, whether they're on the Ford, Dodge, or Mercedes. And I bring that up because Bernie and I wanted to talk about the fact that Mercedes is coming out with a 100% electric chassis in 2023, which is this year. Because what's happened is, with all this electrification talk, Ford is pretty much taking the lead, and Dodge hasn't done much with the Ram. I still call it Dodge. Hasn't done much with that. But the Mercedes chassis, the Sprinter chassis, is pretty much the leader in the Class C category. And, the Bs as well, with the high-end Mercedes Sprinter products.
Transit's been making a big move too, though, for sure.
Who's that, please?
Yeah, Transit, the Ford Transit chassis has been really growing big time. And, even Tiffin is using a Transit on one of their products. So, the Midas,
Yep. So, Bern and Walter, again, from an engineering perspective, we looked at some of the Rams, but the engines are small. That's true. And the transmissions probably leave something to be desired. Mercedes would be my choice. So you'd be willing to pay the extra price for a more a beefier unit, Walter. I guess that's what you're saying. So let's go back here. Go ahead, Bernie.
Oh, no, I was just thinking that, there's going to be a huge transition in all automotive, right? A lot of companies, even with the passenger vehicles, are going to be mandating that they're going to go all electric by 2030. So it's going to be a big transition. And even though it kind of goes against, like I still believe that the combustion engine is a little bit, it's a little easier to have access to, and until they have the infrastructure in place and all those things, it's still going to be a challenge to make sure that people have enough electricity to charge these things. But really, go ahead.
There is absolutely no question that the infrastructure is not ready. And I can say that as the owner of an electric car, not a hybrid, but a 100% electric car. There's this thing called range anxiety. In other words, when
am I going to charge? Oh my God!
I run out of fuel, But you know what? The funny thing is, when I'm on a long distance trip, if my gas car, what do you call it? That?
Yeah, the needle. Yeah, whatever.
Needle.
The charge needle.
Once it gets past halfway and I'm stopping off for food or something, I'll top it off and get gas at the same time. Whereas my co-host on this show, Bob Zagami, he'll wait until it's got over to the F and that little red light comes on. It says, get fuel, get fuel, get fuel. He has no range anxiety at all. But let's go back to this. We talked about Pirate Land. Let's just talk about, Jerry says Pirate Land is in Myrtle, and Audrey wants to get the update. So here's what happened. Walter Swenson. And folks, let me time out here for 1 second. I have said over and over and over again that the most valuable aspect of our show is not me, it's not Bernie, it's not Bob Zagami. It is Bill Seltz tonight because he's got all the buttons.
He's keeping everything together.
It's you, our audience. So you guys are breaking a story that I'll do some follow-up on because I've been to Pirate Land. I know that it's probably, what would you say, guys, 1,500 spots? Because there's that section of Myrtle Beach where you've got Pirate Land, Ocean Lakes, Myrtle Beach State Park, and another big one down there. They're all well over 1,000 spaces, which you don't see in New England at all. But Walter has said that they are on leased land and that ELS, which is probably Equity Leisure Systems or something like that, is taking over 2 of them. That is going to be interesting to see what happens to people that have had seasonal plot. We're going to make a point of following up on that story, so stay with us right here. And what else we got? As you know, there's a dearth of electric charging station for electric cars. How long before you can charge an electric? Well, Walter, there's a good quote. That Jerry Plant, that's an excellent question. In Woodall's Campground Magazine, where you can subscribe to for free, woodallcm.com, many of the ads, because it's a trade publication, to campground owners are from electric charging companies that will allow a campsite to have charging facilities for the RV, the back end of it, which they have already, but also be able to charge the front end at the same time. So
some of these mom and pop campgrounds, they're going to be suffering trying to keep up with that because they must have antiquated electrical systems. I can't believe.
Anybody that you talk to.
Has anyone ever seen a tow truck with maybe a charging station built into that? Are they doing that already? I imagine that's going to be something that needs to happen sometime soon.
Well, Bernie, you bring up an excellent point because the fact is you cannot tow an electric car. So if you run out of fuel, you can't tow it because of
the way it's set up. Yeah,
the way it's set up. So I have not seen it yet, but there are circumstances where you will call AAA or whoever your roadside assistance company is, and they will tow you to a charging station and drop your car there, plug you in, you stay there for 20 minutes. By the way, it's not 2 hours to get an electric vehicle charged. It's
Oh,
anywhere
good.
between 20 and 45 minutes, depending upon how low you let it go. Walter says 2050. I don't think it's that long. Wide scale EVs, because the industry is making it happen. Whether we need it or not, the industry is making us feel like we need to go electric. I
And
happen to like mine.
Yeah, a lot of the countries, I was just reading today that the EU, Great Britain, United States, they're all going to be working together to share
Yep.
resources so they can build more batteries amongst the countries that are friendly together. So you'll be able to
Yep.
borrow, this mineral from, Belgium, and this mineral from Spain, and this mineral from Italy, and all the tomatoes that go along with that. So.
Yeah, but what they're going to borrow from Italy, we're going to have Parmesan powered units. So you're going to take chicken parm, you're going to bread it, and then you're going to stuff it down that gas tank. And, feathers are going to come out the tailpipe, but nevertheless, it's still going to go. So Walter says.
Beautiful. It's going to be delicious.
Okay. Yeah. So Walter says in Europe, they have tow vehicles that bring diesel power gen. See, Bernie, you just brought that up. I have not seen that yet. This is the only show where our audience is smarter than the people who are.
Oh, absolutely. Thank goodness, right?
Thank you, Walter. Now, Bernie, we've got a very special guest that you were able to speak with today. Why don't you set that up, and Bill will have his button ready to go. And, we were talking, but it's appropriate. We're talking about it now because of fixing RVs.
Right.
And
well, there's so many more. Yeah, there's more people camping every year now. More people buying them, but also they're buying used campers as well. So I heard a report recently that there's going to be over 72 million people going out camping in the United States this year. And those people are going to need service, right? And as the industry grows, how on earth are we going to be able to keep up with it with the current workforce? Well, you got to open it up to some other people like women, right? So that's why we have Jessica Ryder, the managing director of RV Women's Alliance, and she's going to be talking about a new program by the RV Technical Institute. So take it away, Bill. Or not. You could just wait a little while, I guess. So, yeah. Well, hello, Jessica. Thanks for joining us on RVing in New England today.
Hi, Bernie. How are you?
I'm fantastic, and it's so exciting. There's so much to talk about what's going on with the RVWA, and I want to jump right in. For some of the folks that may not know so much about RVWA, would you explain to them, what it is and how it was founded?
Yeah, absolutely. So RVWA, or the RV Women's Alliance, was started in 2019 out of a need to unite the women of the RV industry. We all know that the RV industry and most manufacturing is very male dominated, right? But there are a lot of women that do work in these industries, the RV industry being one of them. And so RVWA was a way to bring together all of these women and allow a place that we can, elevate, educate, and promote them. So we started in 2019 and we were overwhelmed. We thought we'd have like 20 people in the room, and we had over 200. We were standing room only at that first meeting. And so we've grown since then. We, everybody kind of took the hits that they took in during COVID. We did as well, but we also had a really amazing project during COVID, which was our Grab to Fab. That put us on the map, and it allowed us to really bring women together in small networking opportunities and listen and understand what they needed. And we've just flourished from there.
Well, that Grab to Fab project was fantastic. I watched the video myself. I think I saw it on RV in New England a couple of years ago. What an exciting project that was, for sure. Now, tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what you do for the RVWA.
Sure. So I am the managing director for the RVWA. So I run the day-to-day operations, kind of wear those many hats, right? I do everything from updating our website to
you actually do the work. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't do it alone. There are so many women behind the scenes that most people won't see. We have 11 task forces that bring together all of our programs. We have a 14-member board of directors that
Oh my
really
gosh.
helps drive the strategy and the direction of our organization. So I do not do this alone. I've got so many people around this organization that really want to see it succeed and ultimately help us achieve our vision of helping women thrive.
You know, that's fascinating that you have so much enthusiasm and momentum, that's been happening through the RVWA. Now, tell us a little bit about who some of those key members are, some of those drivers that are helping perpetuate what your mission is.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the programs that we just launched this year is our all-female technician class in partnership with RVTI. And this came about because one of our board members is the director of recruitment for RVTI. So it was a conversation just sitting around. We all know there needs to be more technicians in the RV industry. How can RVWA help that? And we
Right.
came up with this all-female technician class, and we piloted it last August. And we were overwhelmed again with applications. We thought we were going to have to struggle to get 12 women to come into the class, and we had over 110 applicants.
Wow,
So
that is fantastic.
right. So we ended up extending that to 22 women in the class. And so we proudly graduated 22 women through level 1 training through RVTI. So this year we decided to just take that nationwide.
That is just fantastic. And, as everybody knows, for the RV industry to continue to flourish and to continue to grow, they need to get more people working. And what a better way to do that than to open up a demographic that probably, is starting to be, noticed. But the fact is that there's so many wonderful women out there that are ready and able to work, so give them a little training and get them ready to go.
Yeah. And the beauty of the level 1 training, I found, because I'm a level 1 certified technician as well.
Wow.
And so
if you need a job, let us know. We can
I mean, like I do have my own mobile repair business on the side, but I will say that what I love about that level 1 training is that you learn how to do that inspection and that PDI inspection, right? And women are, and I'm just going to say this, but they're a little bit more detail oriented.
Okay.
And so,
yeah.
I mean, most of the time. So when
My wife has told me on several occasions that I kind of missed a little stuff. It's
okay. We all have our strengths. We all work together. And honestly, Bernie, that's the beauty of RVWA is we don't say we're just a women's organization. We're open to everybody, men and women, because we knew from the day one, it takes both sides of the conversation to move the needle. And so that's what's so great about this organization. But back to the women, this is a great opportunity for them to learn a new skill, and then they can start applying that skill and helping people, really dig into that inspection portion of their RV.
That's fantastic. I noticed that there's a little bit of fee that goes along with that. And, and someone said to me, oh, well, they charge them for that. It's $600. It could be a life-changing experience that gives you a career that you could utilize for the rest of your life.
Well, here's the key to that, Bernie, that I don't think, and we certainly haven't advertised this a lot, but that $600 gets you level 1 and level 2. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the class is just for level 1, which is what we're putting on. But when you pay that $600, you're paying that to RVTI. So you are actually getting their subscription, which is level 1 and level 2.
That is fantastic. And that's RVTI certification, correct?
Yes.
You can get a job anywhere in the country with that certification.
There's dealerships all around the country ready to hire you.
Fantastic. We're so excited about this program. I know, we do some RVTI training up here in New England as well. Chris Doherty has been doing that. We got to get a hold of him and see if he can get on one of these classes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And RVWA, we're always, we're a not-for-profit organization. So we're always looking for partners to help us, put these programs on and help just basically fund the organization so we can keep giving back to these women. And so we're always looking for good partners, but for this program, we're looking for women out there that are ready for a career change, ready to do something that is RV related, and ready to get that certification and start helping RVers.
All right, so we have about a minute left. If you don't mind, just tell everybody how they can get a hold of RVWA and sign up for these classes.
Yeah, the best way is to go to rvwa.org, which is our website. You'll see under the events tab, we'll have the all-female technician class page. You can go there. You get all the dates listed. There's classes in 5 different states. So you can go check out one that's closest to you. It also tells you who this is for and what you're going to learn. And then you can sign up. And then there's also an option if you do need a scholarship. There's some options available, and you can reach out to us and apply for that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jessica, for joining us today. It's been wonderful talking to you, and I look forward to seeing all the successes that the RVWA has coming in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, that was an amazing time spending with her for sure.
Great.
Yeah.
It's important to point out that Mr. Zagami is one of the charter members of RVWA because, as Jessica just said, it is not for women only. I have a membership there. And this past September at the big open house in Elkhart, I had the opportunity to serve as their MC for their annual meeting. So they welcome everyone. And you know what? Dante was watching, because he said he has a level 1 certification and was offered several jobs. And,
absolutely.
Level 1, I mean, there's a wide variety of things you can do with that. But the other thing that people need to understand is that every job as an RV tech does not mean that you're going to be lying underneath RVs with gasoline and oil and antifreeze dripping on you. There are plenty of jobs that involve the house of the RV where you don't have to go underneath and still can.
I was talking. Yeah, I was talking to Jessica a little bit before, and what she was saying in the business that she does a little bit of inspection work. So you can still test the propane systems. You can still test the water heater, and without getting too dirty. We have techs, that's all they do is do the pre-prep for new campers, and they're RV1 certified, and they get a little bit of coaching from the supervisor or the shop foreman on certain items, but they can test all the major appliances.
Yep, no question. So for our audience that we have here, tell us where your summer plans are. Where are you going to head this summer? Are you going to stay closer to where you live? And again, we have, the name of the show is RVing in New England, but we do have a national audience. And last year, and it seems as though the gas prices are considerably less than they were at this time last year. And a lot of people were saying, oh, I'm not even going to buy an RV, or I'm not going to take my RV out, or I'm going to rent it out to someone else. And the reality is that this year, there's no reason to have any type of thinking like that. So tell us where you're going. And,
it's funny because you do hear that from customers. I don't know, what am I going to do, if this happens or if that happens? Well, if you keep waiting for all those ifs, you're going to miss out on a great opportunity to enjoy time with your friends and family. I mean, look at the quality time that you spend with your grandchildren. It's extraordinary. And in Mary Beth too, you guys go everywhere. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. Now, Walter says diesel has not changed that much in price. Well, I see it under $5. Now you say, oh, wow, that's a deal, under $5. But it did go up to $6 a gallon back probably a month and a half or so ago. Now, whether it was wintertime that it was competing with fuel oil and that type of thing, but Walter says layoffs, that's a big concern right now.
Well, if you're one of the ones getting laid off, of course, but if you're not, again, don't just miss an opportunity because what might happen, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. You bring up an excellent point, because that when I get around to it, you're never going to get around to it. You never will. There's no such thing as the perfect time to do something. There are good times and there are less good times, but don't do in America what Americans tend to do is, some people brag about the fact that, I left 3 weeks of vacation on the table.
Ooh.
I will tell you, if you're leaving 3 weeks of vacation on the table, that company loves you. But
you have no life.
You have no life. You have no life. So Audrey is traveling, going into quasi-retirement for both of us, going south to Savannah, then to Pirate Land. Audrey, are you going to be you won't be in Savannah on St. Patrick's Day, which I found out that Savannah, Georgia is the number 2 or number 3 spot in the entire United States for St. Patrick's Day. And the interesting thing is they don't have St. Patrick's Day. They have St. Patrick's Week. And Zagami and I were down there last year in March at the Winnebago dealer meetings when we saw them, closing up streets for vehicular traffic and getting ready to bring in the celebratory.
It's like an Irish Mardi Gras down there.
It is gigantic. Then in a 6-week trip to Charleston, New Orleans, Key West, and back up the coast. Smart people. Now, I will say that Audrey is probably one of the people, and Walter, the people that we know that put the most time into trip planning. Now, Walter is a savior to me because he taught me how to use the RV Life Trip Wizard. And I don't know if Audrey's using that or not. But the RV Life Trip Wizard is part of the company that we do another show for, RV Life, called the Camper Report Show. And Walter, are you doing your big trip this year, Walter, or not? But I think it was scheduled for this year where Walter was going halfway across the country. But Dante says diesel is $4.31 in parts of Florida. So I saw it for $4.94 today.
There you go.
So Walter's growing. And Walter,
he's going on the road trip. Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
Walter, how heavily did you depend upon RV Trip Wizard? Because I know that without Walter, I would not know how to do it. He gave me some tutoring. And that's the beauty of this group. And Bernie, I think that you would agree with me. The beauty of the RV lifestyle community is that they're always willing to help someone else. And I'm sure that you see, Bernie, I'm sure that you see people come into your dealership and they're rookies, and there's another family that's there that has, bought 5 or 6 units. They'll even go over and teach them some of the things to look at, right?
Oh, yeah. So it happens all the time. You're chatting with somebody and you could tell like you're having trouble kind of getting through to them what some of the, the work is involved, or, what some of the functionality or whatever it may be. And people will just stroll right into my office and they're like, hey, 3 years ago, we were just like you. And they sit down and this is what we found. And there are some of the resources that we use. And all of a sudden, it's just like the stress comes off of them and they relax because it's like, hey, people do this all the time. Right?
Yep. Exactly.
Regular
and
folks.
You know what? It's better for another person to say good things about camping or about a certain unit than you, because they're going to expect you to say good things because you sell them.
Right. And it's good just to get, this. And it's people that walk through. We have customers that bought 3, 5, 7 campers off of us in their history of RVing. And they're committed. This is a true lifestyle thing. It's not just a fad. This is a beautiful way to spend time with family and friends, and also just get around and enjoy this lovely country of ours. And you're right. Sometimes I may come off as a salesman because that's kind of what I do, but it's good to get the other opinions for sure.
Well, the reality, Bernie, is that the people that are in our audience are bigger and better salespeople for the RV lifestyle than most people who sell them, because the reality is that most people who sell them are spending their time selling them and not enjoying them. But the ones that are out on the road are really the ambassadors of the industry. Would you agree with me on that?
Oh, absolutely. And it brought up a point like earlier on, Estelle was talking about booking her sites earlier. And I said, I'm saying to myself, well, Estelle needs to tell everybody, get out there and book your sites for the season,
Yep.
really. So, I mean, she's a great resource. She does this all the time, her and her family camp all the time. And I hear some great stories from my colleague who camps with them. So, their families mix together and have a wonderful time. But yeah, book those sites early. But yeah, having someone like Estelle, who's been an RVer for a while, and she knows she'd be a perfect person to get to know and talk to.
Yep. Yep. And at the same time, you like to plan out certainly around the big holidays, the 4th of July and Labor Day, that type of thing. But keep in mind, folks, that there are so many websites that campgrounds have that may say that they're sold out for a period of time. But the website may not take into account a recent cancellation that just came in. I know, and I tell the story over again because it's true. We had a circumstance a few years ago. We were on 4th of July, not this past one, because that was the Do It Now Tour 22. But the year before that, it was 4th of July, and we were up in Vermont, Newport, Vermont, somewhere like that. And I called the campground. We didn't have reservations. There were two RVs. And I said, I know you're going to laugh at me, but any chance anything has just become available, because I know it says you're sold out on your website. And they said, you were reading my mind, because the couple, the call that I was on just before I picked up your call had just canceled, and we have 2 sites available.
Wow.
And, so always, folks, never let a sold out sign deter you, because there's always room, and
make the call.
You might not get your choice of camp spot that you want, but you will get in. Not guaranteed, but historically, it's worked for me. And with that being said, so Bernie, what do you got for new stuff coming on the lots right now? Brand new product that people would be excited about?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing is that some of the manufacturers that we work with have been really working hard to develop new products. So it's been fun to get in the new Imagine XLS AIM. That's a great product, single axle travel trailer by Grand Design.
That's
and
the 20,
it's
20 feet, 22 feet, 22 feet.
Yeah, right around there. That's the box size.
Single axle, yeah.
Yeah, but they're big axles, so it's you still need about like a Tacoma to pull them or whatever. But I'll tell you, what a great use of space. And you could tell that they spent, and they do this with most of their floor plans, they spend a lot of time engineering and making sure that things fit the right way. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm really excited about bringing on more of those products. And every once in a while, they'll add a new floor plan and a fifth wheel. They just put on this big front living room in a mid-profile fifth wheel. And that's something
there you go.
It's
always something new. Always something new. There's solar stuff, et cetera, et cetera. I see that we are just about out of time. We want to thank our audience. And we want to thank our audience for a couple of things, breaking that story on Pirate Land. And Dante says that makes the call, which I was just referring to, and he said it worked twice. Not once, twice on this trip.
It works.
Folks, what's the worst they can tell you? I'm sorry, we're sold out. Okay, then you move on to the next place. But in most cases, if you're polite and not a jerk and say, don't you know who I am? That's not going to work, because you're going to find somebody, don't you know who I am, at the other end of the phone. But just be polite.
I'm the one managing the book.
Yes, exactly. I'm the one with the butter. So, but we want to thank our friend Ben Quiggle from Woodall's. And again, if you want your own copy of Woodall's, just go to woodallscm.com, and somewhere there's a button that says subscribe, and go from there with it. So,
yeah.
That, and
make sure you check out the RVWA.org as well. Jessica and her team doing a fantastic job there. And, maybe think about joining up with them. See how you can help get more women involved in the RV industry.
Yep, exactly. So we want to say thank you so much. Bob Zagami will be back next week, and we will see you then on, what's the name of the show, Bernie?
RVing in New England.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
This edition of RVing in New England was a presentation of the New England RV Dealers Association. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram.